Hello and welcome to Games Jobs Live. Games Jobs Live makes it easy for great studios to connect with brilliant talent. Some of you are already in the games industry, some are in Scotland, some further afield, some recently graduated, some working in other fields. You're all welcome. We've got some great positions for you all, I hope. For those of you that haven't taken part in one of these before, basically we will be hearing from a number of great Scottish studios today. They're all sitting in a Discord waiting to chat to you as well. So you'll hear from them live in the live stream, and then you can chat to them in the Discord, and then basically apply to whichever ones you think are the best fit for you. If you have been here before, you'll know me. If you haven't, I'm Colin McDonald. I've been working in the UK games industry for a little over 30 years now, from being producer on the early Grand Theft Auto games and Crackdown to being Games Commissioner at Channel 4 and a whole bunch of things in between. Today is all about jobs in Scotland. And thanks to the Sinclair Spectrum being manufactured up in Dundee in the early 80s, Scotland is one of the most important games industry hubs in the world. Most famously, Grand Theft Auto was created and is still created here. We've also seen great games like Lemmings, Crackdown, Observation, the console versions of Minecraft, and literally hundreds more created here in Scotland. So today, you'll get a flavour of some of the brilliant Scottish companies that are looking for their next star hires here this afternoon. In order to squeeze everyone in, as usual, each company only has a few minutes to present themselves, but that'll give you a good idea of who they are and what they're looking for. It's then up to you to follow up with the ones you're interested in. For that, you want to be in the Discord. The address is going to scroll along the bottom of the screen throughout the entire live stream. In a browser, punch in discord.gamesjobs.live. That's discord.gamesjobs.live. Put that into a browser and that will redirect you to the Games Jobs Live Discord server. I already see some chat in there already, which is great. And what we'll do is, after each company has presented, I'll keep the speakers on for a couple of minutes and I'll put a couple of questions live to them. So in the Discord, you'll find a live stream questions channel. Put any questions in there that you would like me to put to the companies, and I'll pick one or two. I can't ask them all, but put them in there for me to ask to the companies, and I'll try and pick those up with the speakers. The companies are all on the Discord as well, and they each have their own dedicated channel. So if you want to ask your own question directly to the companies, anytime from now until the end of the whole event, which is in about 2 hours, so it's 6 o'clock UK time, go into that company's Discord channel. You'll see people from the company in green in the company role, so you know they're official, and ask away to your heart's content. If anyone else contacts you saying they're from a company, please don't give them any personal details, whether they're in green or not. Report anyone that's trying any nonsense like that, either to one of the staff from one of the companies. They all have the power to delete and ban people if there's any nonsense, or to me, and we'll keep the chat civil and productive for everyone. This is about getting people into their dream jobs after all. I'd like to thank the various people that have helped share, spread the word about today's event. I saw Creative England, now Creative Enterprise, share this on Discord just half an hour ago. I've seen Yuki share it. Thanks to everyone else that shared it. It's great to get as many people as possible in front of these great studios and get some jobs filled. So let's crack on and hear from the companies. Our first company, the speaker actually came down with terrible toothache today, so she can't present live. She is on the Discord to answer questions, but she's full of tooth painkillers and isn't able to speak. But thankfully, we have one of these with the very same lady that we did before. So this one, we'll play out a video to introduce you to the company, but do just jump on the Discord to chat directly to them live as of now. So the company that's concerned is Outplay Entertainment. They're up in Dundee. They both develop and publish a string of successful mobile games covering a range of genres, IPs, and most recently getting Gordon Ramsay into a game. So from Outplay, here's Alison, their senior HR advisor.
As Colin sort of introduced me there, I am Alison. I'm the senior HR advisor from Outplay Entertainment. As Colin rightly said, we are a publisher, so we develop our games in-house. And most recently, I'll go through some of the games that we've had, but we always like to do these events just to connect with talent looking to get into the industry. It's a great time for us to have this grad special because we are looking for some grads at the moment. It's nice and timely for everyone finishing university, and even recent grads, maybe sort of a year or two's experience as well. We still consider them graduates as well. So it's really timely for us to be able to explore people looking to move into the industry or those thinking ahead as well. So we'll be in the Discord channel as well later on, so I look forward to chatting to more people in Discord after today's event. I'll be there from right after my session, so if anyone wants any questions answered or some more tips and advice, then I'm happy to do that. Briefly, all we'll do is introduce a bit of the studio, who we are, what our values and our culture and that is, just so you can get to know us. And then I'll just dive right into sort of what roles we have available, some tips, some advice, some industry resources that might be useful. So without further ado, I'll crack on with that. So we're Outplay Entertainment. We're a free-to-play mobile publisher based in Dundee, but right off the bat, it's worth saying that we're now a hybrid studio. So we're taking part in a really large study with a company called Endgame, and they're looking at what will hybrid working look like for Outplay longer term. So at the moment, we're obviously working in line with government advice as to everyone sort of who can go into the office and when, and preparing for that accordingly. But long term, we'll be a hybrid studio. So we'll stay that way. So it's changed dramatically for us. So we've had to sort of make sure everyone's set up effectively from wherever they're working, and we have people across the globe. So we have people as far as India, but also sort of within Europe, so Netherlands, Spain, Germany. So we have people from all over, and we're looking to just extend that. So things have changed massively in the last year, and we won't go back to being the same studio that we were. So just for keeping in mind for the later opportunities that I'm going to discuss, remote opportunities are there. So we're not looking to change that anytime soon. So at the moment, we've got around 130 staff. That's over 23 different nationalities. Founded in 2010, so we're based in Dundee, as I said. We're one of the largest independent mobile developers in the UK. So to date, we've had over 140 million downloads, including launching 11 titles, with one of the latest ones that we've introduced. Due to the pandemic, unfortunately, he's not been able to come into the studio, so we'll hopefully get him in one day soon. But it is really cool getting videos and messages sent to everyone at Outplay and that, and it's been amazing to see all the social sort of collaborations and that we've been doing with him. And our latest game that we've just released is a game called Mystery Match. So there's lots more exciting games in the pipeline. We are doing a lot of R&D at the moment, so there's new games that they're just at the conception stage. So it's an exciting time to be a part of games that have already launched, been well established. Angry Birds, for example, we have a number of already established titles that are live, and we've also got new upcoming games as well. So just to briefly go through what our vision is, we like to create moments of delight. So what an amazing opportunity for us is that we create those moments of delight for people. So whether it's people looking to escape, a student looking to escape studying who wants to play one of our games for 10 minutes, or they're socially connecting with family who are really far away, it's easy to forget every day that that's what we do. And the work that we do, every time you sit down at your desk, that's the output of what we get, is creating those moments of delight for people. So we like to do that for our games, but also we like to embed that into our studio as well, and our practices and what we do. So for our culture, it's all about creating and delivering world-class games, pushing the quality bar of games and our player experience. Simply put, to us, great teams make great games. Our values, so we like passion for excellence, clarity of purpose, impact and ambition, and inclusion recognised. And that's basically passion for our excellence is we believe we should be the best of the best. We're continuously developing our skills. We want to use that, share insights, facilitate knowledge for everyone. Clarity of purpose, we all know what we're doing and why. Impact and ambition, but we know what we're doing. How do we then deliver that? How can we push the boundaries of what we're trying to do? And then inclusion recognised is just part of who we are. So as part of that hybrid working, again, we're looking at really investing in our teams and our equipment for high performance, and we're committed to building an unbeatable supportive culture of excellence where everyone's able to achieve their potential, no matter where they're from. We also have something called the Outplay Academy. We do a lot of things through the umbrella of the Academy. We invite guest speakers in, but it's notable industry experts to inspire and share their experience with the knowledge and across the teams. We also host internal workshops. We host a suite of internal workshops that are open to everyone. People can develop their soft skills, presentation skills, internal knowledge sharing, cross-discipline exposure. We have Academy afternoons once a month. So we've got our next one next Friday, for example, and some of the engineering team are running a Unity session. So it's really organic. We always have like a big ticket item so that someone can come along, whether that's someone from analytics sharing the recent report that they've been doing, or someone from art running a rigging session, or lighting or animation, whatever that may be. So we always have a big ticket item, but then everyone else in the studio can choose what they want to do. So if they want to do something as a team, they can do that. If they want to arrange something through us and we pay for a resource to come in and do something, we can absolutely do that. If they just want to sit on their own and do some learning, that's absolutely fine. So everyone's got sort of room to manoeuvre and be flexible to do whatever it is that they so choose to do. And we also do a lot of team building and leadership development. Big change since doing this in COVID times, so we've had to switch our strategies up and do this in a new way, but we do really spend a lot of time to deliver targeted leadership and development courses and workshops so that the teams can get to know each other. We will have a big focus on this moving forward in this new way of working. It will still be virtual, but even more so now than ever. We need to make that conscious effort for people to connect and build relationships and build trust and common understanding and all these sorts of things. So these are probably more important for us now than ever. We have learning tools and dedicated development times. So as I said, we've got the Academy afternoon, but we also have access to industry resources. So GDC, Vault, LinkedIn Learning, Udemy, all these sorts of online resources that we do, in addition to, obviously, as and when we can, COVID permitting, get people in the studio as well. We do conferences as well, so for us, obviously, things have changed. Can't probably hear that message 10 million times today, but things have changed a lot with COVID, but one of the positive outcomes of that is attendance at conferences and events have completely opened up. So there's a lot more opportunity now for companies to allow more individuals to go, given that there's less of a burden on sort of travel and accommodation and ticket costs. A lot of these have just been made free throughout the pandemic. So it's really shown some creativity and innovation during this pandemic, the way that people have come up with ways in which they can run conferences and events. It's been amazing to see. Diversity and inclusion, we do a lot of work with that. So we are Women in Games ambassadors, so we do a lot of work with Women in Games. We also have an internal initiative called Outplay, and we do focus groups for that. We have goals for that. We run sessions. It's about 50-50 male and female split, and that's just looking at what more can we do for diversity and inclusion. So small things, big things, initiatives, small changes. So we do a lot in the diversity and inclusion side of things. And then we also just run events for special effects as well, who are sort of industry charity. Social events, again, obviously very different. Even as a hybrid studio, we will bring them back. We used to do like football on a Tuesday and basketball on a Friday and all these sorts of things. So we still do want to bring big parties and things back, but we just have to figure out how does that work remotely? How do people sort of work in, whether it's down in London or Spain or wherever that may be, how do they still feel part of the social events that we do? So we will bring that back. And then impact of COVID-19, we've kind of touched on it. We're continuing to support people remotely. We've hired exceptionally throughout the pandemic, and we're still hiring now. So I'll go through our current opportunities in a slide or two, and then we're just continuing to sort of find new ways of that social culture, explore long-term hybrid model of remote and on-site working, how that could work. So current opportunities. For the avoidance of doubt, I've highlighted there in a very bold yellow there some of the grad roles that we're looking for. So obviously we're hiring other roles as well, but since this is a grad special, I wanted to highlight that those sort of mid-level to junior / grad roles that we're hiring for. In terms of our application process, we normally have an initial call just to find out a bit more about Outplay, a bit more about the individual's experience and expertise. We then have a test usually, so we'll put the individual on a test. We then have a team interview and a project interview. These can vary by roles, so that tends to be sort of 3 or 4 chats with whether it's the team or the project or whatever, and then obviously hopefully at the offer stage. in terms of the grad roles that we have, so we've got some there for engineering, we have one for production, we've got a couple in marketing, so marketing manager and marketing artist, and then design, we've got mid-level design as well. How to apply, you can do that through outplay.com. And I've also put some industry resources here as well. So if you don't see a role that's quite right there for you, I can't suggest highly enough some of the stuff that Colin mentioned earlier about attending things like game jams and that. I can't advise highly enough about networking and attending events. It just takes to attend the right thing and speak to someone who knows that they're hiring for a grad. So attend as much as possible, get immersed in it, knowing places to go to find out these sort of where the events are happening and who's hiring and what they're looking for. Being a part of that and getting involved can really help with getting into the industry. And also in terms of the application itself, relevant portfolio, make sure you've checked out the company, make sure you don't copy and paste and you're emailing us names of companies that isn't us, and we can tell you it's copied and pasted. We've all been there and done it, but it's more impactful if you direct the focus to the company that it is. We can tell when there's more investment there. We like to see a cover letter. It tells us a bit more narrative around the history of the person and how they've come to be where they are. It's not mandatory, but we do like to learn a little bit more about you other than just sort of what's on your CV. So that's me. Any questions? I'll just stop sharing.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Alison. We're short on time, but just one very quick question. There's been a couple of questions come through, people asking about experience, and obviously, I mean, when we're talking about graduate roles, there's a limit how much games industry experience someone can have. But for example, for your graduate roles, would you be looking at people that have graduated from non-games degrees, more general degrees, but are looking to transition into games?
They vary very much by discipline. So marketing, for example, we have a couple of roles in marketing, and some of them are like social media marketing, where they're happy for people to come in with whether it's experience, it might not be industry experience, that's okay, as long as it's social media, that experience is fine. In terms of degree qualifications and that as well, they're open to sort of alternative degrees. Same with so engineering, obviously we're looking for someone who's ideally got an engineering degree. On-the-job learning is fine, but it doesn't have to be industry either, and it doesn't have to be significant engineering experience either. So that's the ones that probably really want to highlight. In terms of engineering and production, they're some of the ones that we're sort of really open to. Like, it doesn't matter if you've not got 3 years experience, we're here to teach you. So it's almost like a sort of internship, if you like, rather than with the graduates. We had a couple of graduates last year from GCU, and they actually attended they were still at university whilst they were with us, did their 4th year whilst they were at university, and then we've since hired them. So we tailored their work day towards what they had to do at university. So all that stuff was teaching them on the job to bring that sort of theoretical application into practice. So you don't have to have significant experience or expect the academic side of it to directly correlate. For some of them we do, but it's worth getting in touch to explore what they are and what they look like, and we can give you more details.
Okay, great. And you're on the Discord?
Yep, we're going to jump on after this. If anyone wants to catch up, ask any questions, I'll be here.
Absolutely. I think you might get 1 or 2. So just as a wee...
Here we go.
As a wee reminder, the address for the Discord is discord.gamesjobs.live. If you punch that into a browser, it'll redirect you to the right Discord server. So jump onto there, chat to Alison from Outplay, as well as all the other companies we've got today. Ask them anything you want to know about applying to them, about them. And if you like what you hear, then get applying and let us know. Alison, thanks very much for joining us today.
No worries. Thanks for having me, Colin. Take care.
Cheers, Alison. Bye. Okay. That was Alison from Outplay, who is on the Discord live. Despite that, here's one we made earlier video. I see a bunch of people hoping she gets better. So absolutely, Alison, thank you for still coming on to the Discord to answer everyone's questions. We hope your toothache gets better soon. However, given that she is on, do jump on and ask her any questions you would like to know about potentially working at Outplay. She's hopefully able to bear with the pain and be with us for about the next hour and a half. So get on to the Discord. Address discord.gamesjobs.live and find out all you want to know about Outplay. And if you like what you hear, get applying. Everyone that's registered for this event, at the end of it, we will send an email out with the direct links to all the company's career pages. So you can find them for yourselves, obviously, but we'll email that to you at the end just to make it nice and easy. Before we jump on to our next company, just to tell you a few more things that might be of interest, a few resources that you might want to take advantage of. If you go on to our website, which is www.gamesjobs.live, you will find an interactive map where we have plotted all of the current vacancies across the UK. So we scrape this every single month. You can zoom in on any of the cities in Scotland or indeed across the rest of the UK and zoom around, filter by discipline, filter by seniority, whatever it is, and find the jobs that are in the right place and in the right field for yourself. Also on our website, we have a bit more information about all the different regions around the UK. So if you want to find out more about the Scottish games industry, go to this address, gamesjobs.live/regions, and you'll find 10 different articles with a bunch of useful information about all the different regions, but particularly Scotland for today. Read up on the history and the things to do in and around where today's companies are based. Also, coming up, one of the best bits of advice I always give, and lots of the companies Alison in that presentation there gave as well, was to take part in game jams, to hone your skills, to beef up your portfolio. So we have a Games Jobs Live game jam that takes place about every 4 months. We have the next one coming up next month. I think it's March the 13th. So to find out more about that, get yourself along to jam.gamesjobs.live. It's all hosted on Itch, so it should be familiar to those that have taken part in games jams before. We get a whole bunch of industry judges, some from the companies today, some from companies down south, like Codemasters and Avalanche and Sega and Creative Assembly. They all provide judges to look at the games that are submitted and provide feedback. And we know there's been some conversations between some of the teams and some of the employers, which is just the dream for me. So if you're looking for a jam to get involved in, check out jam.gamesjobs.live. That's starting in a month. The jam lasts a week, so it's a kind of good length of time to get something really slick that you can add to your portfolio created. And then if you're already in Scotland, we also have a physical event. This isn't a recruitment event. This is nothing to do with recruitment. However, if you're already in the industry or you're looking to get into the industry and want to come along and are comfortable coming along to a physical event at the moment, if you go along to www.gamestalkslive, there are a series of 3 in-person events featuring a range of speakers from across the Scottish games industry and elsewhere. So we've got Rami Ismail coming over from the Netherlands to speak at all 3 events in Dundee, Edinburgh and Glasgow. We've got the BFI coming up. We've got the European Space Agency. We've got publisher Focus Home Interactive. We've got Greenman Gaming coming up. A whole bunch of other amazing companies and speakers. This is a ticketed event. It's a token cost, but get yourself over to gamestalks.live to check out all the details and see if you want to come along. If you don't want to come along, it's all going to be streamed live for free on YouTube as usual. But again, you can register for an online ticket to get yourself along to that. Right, back to one of our companies. We're going to stay with the theme of Dundee for our next company, who have developed over 40 games. And that's in a relatively small number of years that they've been around. It's exceptionally impressive. They've worked with everyone from high-profile entertainment brands to countless other independent games developers. They're growing incredibly fast. They currently have 11 vacancies. So here from Luminal Games, I'm delighted to bring in Marianne and Alex. Hello.
Hi there.
Hey, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having us.
No, very welcome. I'll hand over to you and tell us a little bit more about Hyperluminal and who you're looking for.
Okay then, we've actually got some slides prepared as well. If we could put those up, fantastic. Right, so I'm Alex. I'm one of the senior programmers at Hyperluminal, and today I'll just be telling you a bit about my journey and how I got here, basically from the very beginning. And Marianne will be doing something similar. Marianne.
Yeah, I'm Marianne, and I am a junior QA tester. And we would like to tell you a bit more about what we do here at Hyperluminal Games. So take it away, Alex.
All right. So just a little bit about Hyperluminal itself. We're a growing Dundee-based indie studio. We've expanded quite a fair bit over the years, and especially over the last couple. I guess what we do is fundamentally we try and make games that the people who work here would actually want to play. You know, we make games that we can be proud of, ideally. Beyond that, we like to describe ourselves as a people-centric company, and if you'll excuse the buzzword, it basically just means that the idea is that we like to listen to what people have to say. You know, if you've got an idea, if it's a good idea, there's a pretty good chance that it's going to get listened to and seriously considered for going into a project. Doesn't matter. Good ideas are good ideas, right? Doesn't matter where they come from. In addition, as we have been doing, we do aim to grow, but we're not just looking to put bums in seats, so to speak. We do actually want to bring in people who themselves can grow, because, if someone comes here and they can improve themselves, then that's kind of a win-win for everyone, right? And just to show off a tiny bit, we've got a brand new shiny office space in the Vision building, although we're currently not there. We're currently working from home, just due to the pandemic and whatnot, but we are aiming to get back there as soon as we consider it safe to do so. We've got quite a wide range of projects that we've been involved in. As Colin mentioned at the start, it's quite a mix. It's a mix of self-published as well as some contract work. If you're working here, you pretty much get quite a broad range of experience here. So you're likely to learn at least a few new things, even if you're quite experienced coming in. In addition to that, we've also invested quite heavily in our QA team. So they're actually quite independent, and even though they are still a part of the company, they do actually take on some of their own projects. And I'm sure Marianne can enlighten you a bit more on that later on. As for some of the games we've self-published, the most recent one that we've actually released was a Big Crown Showdown, which is basically just a fun wee multiplayer party brawler, as you can see from the images there, and that's one that came out on PC and consoles, effectively. In addition to that, as far as work that we have in progress, one of our big projects that we've got ongoing is Cloud Jumper, which is basically an upcoming chill exploration game with quite a focus on spectacle and just the general atmosphere of the game. That's actually what hooked me into the company, but more on that later. And finally, at the moment, we've also got a slightly smaller game called Pine Hearts on the go, which is another quite chilled out exploration game, but this time with more of an emphasis on the narrative and the puzzle solving element. We'll probably see more about that in the future as we post up more updates. So on to my journey. So as I said, I'm Alex. I'm one of the senior programmers at the company. So I'll just get past these blooming animations. There we go. So my route in was, you could say, quite conventional. I just went to university straight after school. Initially started off doing a year of engineering and a couple of computing electives. Realized I hated engineering and loved the computing, so did a switch and finished up graduating in computer science. Beyond that, while I was there, I also did some internships, which helped quite a lot. Although they're not really games related, but they were still very useful. After that, I did a year at Abertay Uni, this time doing games, computer games technology, so kind of specialising a bit more because I already had a hobby of playing games, so I thought, why not work in them? So yeah, I started applying for roles while I was kind of working on my dissertation. It was a bit of pressure. You don't have to necessarily do that. You can give yourself a break if you want to, but that's the way I did it. And yeah, I had a few conversations and interviews, and in the end, I got a job at a company called CodeSync, who are based down in Newcastle, and that was via a recruiter, which is a bit of a double-edged sword. Pros and cons to doing that, and I can get more into that later if anyone's curious. But yeah, I stayed there for about 3 years, and mostly worked on VR titles, mostly launch titles for the Oculus hardware, as you can see on the slide there, and then Transformers Battlegrounds, which was a strategy game that came out on PC and consoles. So yeah, after CodeSync, well, I should say while I was at CodeSync, the pandemic hit, and that kind of caused me to sort of reevaluate my priorities a wee bit. Newcastle's about 5 hours away from my home up in Aberdeen, and I kind of wanted to be back in Scotland near some friends and family. And I also realized that even though VR it's really cool, and I'm not going to bash it, but it's not necessarily my cup of tea as far as the games that I play personally. So I wanted to move over to a studio that makes the kind of games that I'm more interested in, and that tends to be more atmospheric games. So you can see the appeal there. Made a bunch of applications to various places. Some places I wasn't a good fit for. Some places weren't a good fit for me. Like as I said, you learn by doing that process. Though you kind of just have to just put out as many as you can, and you'll learn quite a lot through those processes. Even if they're not successful, they'll prepare you better for future applications. But yeah, in the process of that, I just happened upon a trailer for Cloud Jumper on social media posted by someone I'd gone to uni with, and I just followed that back to the developers. Noticed they had a senior role open, and yeah, I applied for them, talked to some nice people, and did a code test, which seemed to go well because, well, about a year and a half later, here we are. So yeah, that's pretty much my journey. And yeah, I'll be happy to answer any questions anyone has in the Discord after this. But for now, we'll hand over to Marianne.
Thanks, Alex. So I am a junior QA tester here at Luminal. Prior to that, I worked for 12 years as a theatrical scenic artist, which basically means painting theatre sets. So it's a bit of a leap to what I'm doing now. The pandemic kind of caused the collapse of the theatre industry as we know it, and unfortunately I was made redundant during that time. But that also gave me this fantastic opportunity to change my career path and move into something that I'm really passionate about, which is games. So I managed to get myself on the Masters in Games Development at Abertay, which was fantastic, although it was a really steep learning curve, and there was lots of new skills and a completely different industry, which was a bit mind-bending at the time. But I learned, like, not only the new skills, but I also learned to lean on my existing skills, and it gave me confidence in my experience and kind of trust in all those transferable skills that I had from my previous career. So next slide, please, Alex. Thanks. So I was coming to events like this time last year, and I engaged in as many of these events as I could, and as many challenges and game jams and just anything I could on top of the master's course, just to try and grow my knowledge and understanding and my skills. And I found the Game Jobs Live events really valuable because they're a platform for, industry insight and networking, and it's a really brilliant thing for growing your knowledge. So then after the master's finished, it was the great job hunt and loads of rejections. I think I applied for like 40 or 50 jobs, and it can be a little soul destroying, but it's tough. But do not give up, because all that goes into your experience, and it grows your abilities, it grows your application process. And if you can just keep, doing projects, doing game jams, personal projects, everything like that, you will get somewhere, I promise. So So I put a lot of thought into the kind of company that I wanted to work for, because that's something that's really important to me, is the environment that I would be working in. And research, networking, and attending events like this all sort of fed into being able to give myself an idea of what kind of company that would be. And Hyperluminal was one of those companies whose ethos really kind of matched with what I was looking for. So when it was on Twitter, actually, that I came across the junior QA tester position, and I applied and got successfully through the interview process and the skills test, a tiny bit nerve-wracking, but here I am, and I really love it. I feel like a really valued employee, and there's loads of opportunity for skills development, which is something that means a lot to me. And it is a really fantastic, supportive environment, which makes enjoyable work even more enjoyable. So currently, we're looking for people to come and make games with us. And we have positions for all levels across multiple disciplines, including art, design, production, programming. And if you want more information on those positions, if you go to our shiny new website down the bottom there, hyperluminalgames.com, you can find the positions we're looking for and the details of each of those positions, what you need to apply. And you can also apply through that website as well. So whilst we are looking to fill entry-level and junior positions, we're particularly looking for senior programmers, designers, and producers, because we want to ensure that we have the structure in place to provide support and mentorship for any junior roles that we do take on. So if you think you fit that description, and talking from my own experience as well, even if you don't hit all the points in the job description, please still apply. Get in touch with us. So, and if you don't see the right position for you, we have on the next slide here, you can follow us on Twitter and Facebook and keep up to date with the upcoming vacancies and studio announcements. And also, if you want to find out more about any of the games that Alec mentioned, you can find them on Steam or also on all the links that are mentioned there too. That's all from our slides. If anyone has any questions, we'd love to answer some.
Brilliant. Yeah, fantastic presentations. Thank you so much, both of you. Yeah, lots of great information in there. And Alex, I can absolutely see why Cloud Jumper got you interested. That is one beautiful, beautiful game. Can't wait to play that myself. Question, Marianne, probably a question for you, first of all. Sean in the Discord is saying his background's in media and communications, and he's asking about pathways into the games industry with that degree and that background. I mean, that's probably a question just for him to come to you, but I mean, more broadly, as someone that's come from a different sector, I mean, how receptive do you think the games industry is to people coming from other sectors, and are there any tips you would give someone like Sean for making that transition?
Oh, absolutely. I think it's really receptive, and I think once you it's scary thinking about changing career path, Sean, so I totally feel you. It's really scary, but once you make that move, I think you realize that all the skills you have in your previous career are really valid, and you can really lean on them in games as well. And I think ways into it, I found the masters incredibly helpful because it's just a 1-year course and it's a professional masters as well. So you kind of have to do a lot of self-learning with the software and things, but they facilitate that through allowing you to you work in teams, and it's pretty intensive as well. So it's a year well spent, I found. And I think also, if that doesn't appeal to you, things like game jams and networking events like this, and just find out what kind of studios, what games interest you, what studios interest you, and then reach out to them and ask for feedback if you have a folio, or feedback on just basically what role you're interested in as well. So I think, yeah, I would just say talk to people. I think that's one of the best things as well. There's loads of different routes in too, so don't ever feel like, oh, there's only one way.
No, absolutely, yeah. From speaking to countless people on how they got into the industry, there's never one way, and everyone always thinks they've got a weird, wacky, unusual way, and a lot of it boils down to do stuff and talk to people, and that doesn't have to be in person because that's more difficult at the moment. It can be on this, it can be on the Reddit forum, it can be on the forum of your favorite game. I don't know if there's a Cloud Jumper forum, but I'm sure there will be one day, and you know people can chat there. So absolutely great advice. Thank you. Alex, a question for you just about the internships you did in uni. There's people on the forum saying, they've sent off countless applications for internships, never hear anything back. I mean, presumably the companies are just overwhelmed. It's still rubbish that they don't get back to people. But do you have any advice for people trying to follow in your footsteps in that regard?
Well, I should mention the internships I did weren't actually games related. It was just more general computer science. So right off the bat, there's a huge pool of companies right there. So I'm not sure how useful that particular experience will be here. But yeah, the way I got those, to be completely honest, I went through the uni. It was Aberdeen University. Sorry. They had basically a program through which they would put students in touch with companies that were looking for interns actively. And I basically just sent off some applications through that, and I basically just took the first one I got, to be honest with you, that looked like it was going to be an actually interesting role that involved programming. It was with a company called Keysight Technologies, which makes, I think one of the things they do is make oscilloscopes. So maybe not quite as exciting as the games industry, but it still helped. So yeah.
Hey, I think it was one of the first ever games in the 40s or 50s was on an oscilloscope, as far as I remember. So yeah, good bit of games history there. And I mean, the fact that it wasn't in games as such. I mean, do you think that helped or hindered or gave you a different perspective?
I mean, I think I guess it depends. If you're comparing it to having not doing anything at all, absolutely, it's definitely better than not doing an internship full stop. But I would say a relevant internship would be more useful, but it's not. I wouldn't say it's not worlds apart. It's definitely useful, but a games internship would probably be preferable. Just so you've got some more idea working in context. That said, it does give you some alternative insight. It was one of my first experiences to actually doing some low-level network programming stuff, which I never would have gotten to do otherwise. So, can occasionally break out Wireshark and actually know what it does, which has been useful maybe once. So, yeah, I would say don't seek them out over games industry roles, but definitely don't discount them either.
Keep yourself open to them. Great advice. Fantastic. Okay, we need to move on, I'm afraid. But Marianne, Alex, thank you so much for taking the time to join us. I think you're both in the Discord, is that right? Yep.
Yes, we are. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Brilliant.
right.
Yeah, I've seen you replying to stuff. So everyone else, if you're not already in the Discord, get on it. Chat to Alex and Marianne and all the other companies we got today. If you're not on already in a browser, go to discord.gamesjobs.live. Sign into that and you'll find channels for Hyperluminal and all other companies that we've got on today, and just get asking your other more specific questions and they'll help you as much as they can. Alex, Marianne, thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you later.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Oh, sorry, bringing our next speaker in a little bit too early there. Apologies. So just to introduce them before I bring them back in again. Our next company is also in Dundee, and from early beginnings as one of the first studios to develop on mobile in the UK, they've worked on an amazing array of games properties, including Angry Birds, CSR Racing, Pocket Mortys, Prison Architect, and dozens more. Here from Tag Games is their CEO, Mark Williamson. Mark,
hi,
hello
Colin.
again.
Hi. Yeah, you caught me out for a second there.
Yeah, glad you weren't picking your nose or something worse.
Yeah, it was good timing. Thank you.
Great stuff. Okay, we'll leave everyone in your capable hands.
Thank you so much. Hi, everyone. So I have a presentation here. I'll do a little bit of an intro to myself. I'm Mark. I'm the CEO of Tag. I took over about four years ago from Paul Farley, who's now our chairman. You know, my background is in production. I was the head of production at TAG for the majority of my time here. Before TAG, I was running my own studio in Middlesbrough called Houch, working on DS, PS2, and Wii titles. So, tiny bit about TAG. So, formed way back in 2006, before the dawn of time. You know, 3 founders in a kitchen in Newport. Paul Farley came from DMA Design, where he'd worked on a small title called Grand Theft Auto. There was our head of games, Robert Henning, who was a student straight out of Abertay, and a third partner who left the business before I joined. You know, from those humble beginnings, we're now 60 odd people across Dundee and the rest of the UK, a couple of people in Europe as well. And you know, the studio is a mobile and tablet experts. That's why people come and give us work. But we're moving cross-platform right now, which is super exciting. And you know, if you just go back and think about how limited games were back in 2006 for mobile, I mean, a color screen was considered a bit of a luxury. So this is way before the iPhone. Well, a year or two before the iPhone. And we've had hundreds of millions of players play our games. So super proud of that. Obviously, most of our work is for other people, but we've had lots of people play our products. Yeah, so over the 16 years we've been around, we've worked with just about everyone you can think of. Lots of them that I can't actually talk about. The nature of some of our work is that we do work behind the scenes, and we're actually, unfortunately, never, you know, credited for it. But there's some great products out there that we have been involved in building. Yeah, we've created a lot of stuff. So hopefully there is a little bit of a video to play. How does that work? Do, do, do. Cool. So just a little taste of some of the products we've worked on in the past. Most recently, we've been working with Zynga Natural Motion on CSR2 and Adult Swim on Pocket Mortys, and a bunch of unreleased titles. But that's our past. Pretty proud of that. Our future is kind of exciting. We are building a brand new IP in partnership with a company called Scopely. You may have heard of them. They've done things like Marvel Strike Force, Star Trek Fleet Command, Walking Dead titles. We have teams in LA, in Dundee, Barcelona, and Shanghai. We're all working on this IP together. And it's a true cross-platform product. We are building out story, a content pipeline for this game to be live for 10 years. So, you know, this is a big product, and it's a substantial undertaking, but it's super exciting. So we have a number of roles open to support this growth. Executive producer, head of art, project, they're all there. If you go to our website, or particularly our careers section of the website, you can actually register there. You can obviously apply for any roles, but you can also register if there's roles that you are interested in but aren't exactly there right now. As soon as we update the list, you'll be pinged a message to say, hey, you said you were interested in art, and there's X many new art roles that have gone up, etc. So it's pretty good just to get registered on there. It allows us to keep in contact and have some communication. It's an account that you set up, so you can obviously delete it whenever you want. We don't get to see any of that stuff. You just get messages from us. The studio itself is evolving. You know, what supported 30, 40 people is, you know, needing to change to support, you know, 60 plus, you know. So there's a lot of hiring going on. There's a lot of discussion around our working models, our career frameworks, how we make sure that everyone at TAG can see a career progression here. Our OKRs, our office is being updated and overhauled. Our equipment is being overhauled completely, and our support team that help support us all in our development, they're being boosted as well. There's been more people added to that, so a huge amount of stuff going on in the business. So it's a really great time to get involved. TAG has been around for a long time, and I think we're pretty well known for being a really hard-working studio. You know, we take ourselves not too seriously, but we're not a studio that has you know, basketball hoops up everywhere and everyone's on rollerblades. You know, we do expect people to come in and do some work. The reason for that is that we really value work-life balance, and so we want people to be in, making sure that they're doing some work and then going home and enjoying time away from the project. Our focus is on our people before our projects, and I think that comes across in the things that we do and the way that we interact with our clients and things. Our benefits are pretty good, I think. So we have our 30 days holiday. You get your birthday on top of that. There is 5 kind of sick days, which are not really duvet days, right? If you're not feeling too good, take one of them. Like, don't come in, don't force yourself to your machine. Like, just, you know, make sure you're feeling well. We have gone to town on our healthcare. It really covers everything you could possibly imagine, with no fee to anyone. We have gym membership discounts. We do financial advisor workshops throughout the year. That's to help people just alleviate some other stress that they may have. You know, if you're looking at mortgages or savings or your pension pot, then you can, you know, TAG pays for someone to come in and help you get some advice. Our pension is actually really great. You're able to invest that into pots that you really care about, so you can make sure your pension isn't going to supporting things that you don't believe in, like, you know, maybe fossil fuel industries or weapons or anything like that. You can decide where your money is being invested, whether you want to take more of a risk on it or not. And we have our share option scheme. So after 6 months being with the business, you will own a small part of it in a share option. And obviously we offer relocation assistance for anyone that wants to come and work in Dundee and they are not they're not here. Yeah, so come and join us on new adventure. It's really exciting, and I'm here to answer as many questions as I can for you. And I'll be in the Discord as well. We have Ali in there right now, our HR partner, our recruitment partner, so she can answer a lot of your questions. But if there's anything else about the studio or you know, the things we're up to, then happy to take questions.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Mark. Yeah, I have a million questions about the upcoming project, but I don't suppose you can answer many of those. So I'll not put you on the spot too much, and we'll get you out next year or sometime when we can hopefully find out a bit more about that. But it sounds awesome. I saw this the Scrabble IP that Scopely were linked to the Scrabble IP. So in my head you're doing like a third-person action adventure version of Wordle. Am I close?
You're pretty far away. Like this is something that you know, Tag has been offered a number of times to go into partnership with people on things, but they've always come with a license and with an IP that we've not really been that interested in. This was, hey, we're going to build this type of experience and we want you to help create it from the ground up. And that was something that was super exciting. And that's why we're going all in on this project.
Awesome. Cool. Right. We'll hear more one day.
Yeah, I promise to come back and give everyone an update because I wish I could be showing you some of the stuff we're working on, but I can't.
Absolutely, no. I bet you do. No, we'll hold you to that. Great stuff. There was a term you dropped in, which is one of those terms that a number of us have heard a lot recently, which is OKRs. So this is, from memory, objectives and key results. What you know, we're sort of hearing that more and more from companies. I mean, why is that something Tag have adopted, and what does it mean to Tag?
Yeah, so at Tag, you'll have a departmental leader who you will have one-on-ones with. You have them at least once a month at the bare minimum. And what our OKRs are is an agreement between the manager and the other person to like look at how they can develop them. Like, okay, so this is something you want to achieve, and this is how I'll help you achieve it. And also from the business, this is where the business is going. How can you help us achieve that? So it's a nice way of having regular input with your manager, but also having it links back into the career framework and, you know, salary progression and all that kind of stuff. So it's your place to keep progressing as an employee.
Okay, great stuff. And then just another quick, kind of obvious question. You kind of touched on it, but Morrigan is asking about working remotely. I mean, it sounds like you have both, you know, remote positions and the option to work in person in Dundee. Have we understood correctly?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, we have a number of fully remote people right now, and we have obviously moved everyone from the Dundee studio out. We don't have 100%. We don't know exactly 100% what we're doing as the world comes back to air quotes normal, but it will be a blend of fully remote, hybrid, and something within there. I don't think we're going to have any forced returns. Well, we're definitely not going to have that stuff.
Okay, great stuff. So yeah, get applying, and all these folk that have started with you recently that have not seen your shiny new office that you did up just before the pandemic will finally get in. That'll be great. Okay, Mark, we need to move on, but thank you so much for taking the time to join us this afternoon. yourself and Ali are in the Discord. I see various questions. There's various questions about code tests and when to apply that I think are best if people just ask those questions directly, because I think they're quite personal to you. So get into the Discord, ask Mark and Ali the rest of your questions, and we hope to see some of you working in TAG's swanky new offices soon.
Thanks so much, Colin.
Great. Thanks, Mark.
Cheers. Bye.
Okay, that was Tag Games. So get on to the Discord. If you're not on already, the address, if you punch it into a browser, is discord.gamesjobs.live. There's lots of questions flying around, but feel free to get yours in. The companies are on there for another hour still, and then they're gone. Maybe not forever, but gone for a while. So get your questions in the next hour onto the Discord and get applying. There'll be an email go out in 15 minutes or so with all the links to the company's recruitment pages. So just apply directly to whichever companies you think are the best fit for you. So finally, we jump down to Edinburgh for our next company. Speech Graphics isn't a games company per se, but they develop facial animation technology that's used by the games industry. And if you've played the likes of Gears of War, Fortnite, Shadow of Mordor, Last of Us, or countless others, you've already seen their work in action. Today, dialing in from the west coast of the US, even though they're recruiting for their Edinburgh headquarters, we have their technical art director, Mr. Z Chen. Z, hello.
Hey, Colin. How's it going? Thanks for the intro.
Hey. No, and thank you for joining us at a slightly less sociable time than we're doing it here.
It's actually I'm in the East Coast right now, so New York City. So the time difference isn't too horrible at the moment.
Oh, cool. What's that, midday? Oh, you must have been up for at least half an hour, so that's fine.
I try sometimes. But
excellent.
great.
Z,
Yeah.
over to you.
Great. Thanks for the introduction. Hey, everyone. Hope everyone's doing well. Like Colin said, I'm the technical art director of Speech Graphics. So I'm going to spend a little time today talking about the company, what we do, and touch upon the open position that I have for my team. But really, I do want to save as much time as possible so that I can answer any of the questions that you guys might have. I feel like that's way more important than me just preaching about how awesome my team is, which it is pretty awesome if I had to say so myself. So Colin, if you don't mind pulling up my shared screen. Thank you. So first, what does Speech Graphics do? It's basically like Colin said, if any of you are gamers, which I hope most of you are, otherwise you might be in the wrong jobs event, just saying. And if you've played any of the recent big games that has been released, then you might have seen our company in the credits somewhere. Most likely you have probably seen our work in the game, even though you might not know that it came from us. Speech Graphics is a technology and service provider to the games industry, and we specialize in the automation of facial animation through audio. You've probably played some big AAA games before, and where you see some of the amount of spoken dialogue is really immense these days with some of these games. We're talking tens of thousands of lines of dialogue, and some are doing even way more than that. So studios and their animation teams can't really keep up with this exponential growth in content. So at a certain point, they either run out of money or run out of animators to do the work for them. And that's where Speech Graphics comes in. We make it possible to actually do all the facial animation in the game that would otherwise be impossible to achieve. As for the company itself, I'm just going to speak a little bit about it. It's that we are a very diverse group, actually. We are an interdisciplinary team of linguists, engineers, and creatives. We are also a multinational team with people in the UK, the US, and Hungary. Like I said, I'm in New York City right now, but I do spend a significant amount of time over in Edinburgh as well, too. And here's a sampling of some of the game studios we work with. As you can see, these are some of the biggest names in the industry, and we have great partnerships with a lot of them or most of them. And like I said, a lot of the games you've played recently came from one of these companies, and most likely you've seen our tech at work within the game itself. And here's a sample of some of the games that we were a part of. I'm sure you've played at least some of the ones that we've seen up there on this slide here. And what's funny is that I was actually the character technical art lead over on Halo Infinite for a couple of years before I left the company. And that was about 4 years ago. But now, like 6 years later, and that's how long it took for the game to finish. I feel like I did a 360 round trip back to it again, since I'm part of the company that really helped the game ship some parts of it as well. So it just shows goes to show you how small the industry can be, and you'll probably be running into the exact same people over and over again, or the exact same studios over and over again. So what am I looking for? I'm looking for associate technical artists for my art team. And there are actually multiple positions for this role. My team is responsible for all the character head setup work needed for our automated facial animation systems. This requires understanding of human facial anatomy, the basics of how facial rigs are created, and some knowledge of Maya and game engines. And the work, like most game projects, is a team effort. So we want people who are good at managing their time and are proactive communicators, especially with, right now the whole team being remote. It's very, very important that everyone's proactive communicator. This is a junior role, so we don't expect anyone to have multiple years of experience creating characters or character rigs, but we do want someone who has a passion for these things. One of the most amazing things in this job is the actual opportunity to work with character rigs from all major studios in the whole games industry. This is something you don't get anywhere else, honestly. I've worked at quite a few studios, and this is the first time I've gotten a chance to work for character rigs from a bunch of other studios I've never worked at before, like Naughty Dog, Respawn Entertainment, Warner Brothers, etc. And so this is a huge opportunity for anyone who wants to learn how the industry puts their character rigs together. The link down there leads directly to this job at Speech Graphics. I have posted on Discord, so you can check it out there. And besides that, we are actually hiring other positions at Speech Graphics as well. A lot of them are engineer positions, and these are the ones that are currently for the general Edinburgh area. Though I do believe a lot of them are supportive of being having people work remotely as well too. That's also posted in the Discord channel. And we do also have others roles open, but in the Hungarian office. But if you, the link actually leads you to all the jobs, not just the jobs I have linked up on here. And to that, I'll just open it up to Q&A.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Z. We were just chatting here. I mean, you yourself are an amazingly interesting person with a phenomenal background. So I think people can hopefully tap into some of that on the Discord and pick some of your, pick your brain about some of that.
Sure.
One thing that jumps out that I think is going to be of interest is you're one of the people that have jumped from working at the coalface in terms of game dev. You said 6 years on Halo Infinite. I know you weren't on it for the whole time, but jumping from years focused on a title to moving to speech graphics, where you're working on technology that's used in dozens or hundreds of titles. I mean, what's the difference? I mean, what's the pros and cons between focusing your effort onto one thing versus being part of a team that's developing tech that's used by a number of others?
That's actually a very good question. And actually, I wasn't on Halo Infinite for 6 years. I was on it for 2 years, but I was on the previous two Halos for another about 5 years. So that was about 7 years of Halo. It's nonstop Halo for a big portion of my whole life.
It's a lot of Halo.
That actually kind of partially answers your question. Where one of the reasons I did leave was because that was 7 years of Halo, right? And at a certain point, the shine kind of you lose the bit of the shine on a bit, and you kind of you want to look for some new adventures, and I think that's one of the problems with a lot of the AAA developments these days is how long it takes to create a game. It's not the way it used to be, like say 10 or actually more like 15 years ago, where most likely like a AAA game would take about 3 years, 2 to 3 years max. And generally most games takes about 2 years or so, and that's enough of a turnaround time to feel like you spent a good amount of time working on a good project, and you feel a sense of like completion and being able to really enjoy the fruits of your labor after a couple of years. But imagine you don't see that event until 5 or 6 years later. Or in some other cases, you look at some of these other games from Bethesda where they're looking at 7+ years. Or and there's some even crazier ones where it's about a decade of your life, and you don't see something released. And that's a bit hard to know. You have to spend a decade to possibly see a game released. And that's not always guaranteed either. I've known plenty of colleagues that have worked at studios where they spent 5 years developing something only for them to cancel the project. And it's hard to think that you invested 5 years of your life only to not see something to come to completion. And so I think that's one of the differences, that you are kind of just stuck in a project for a very long time. But there's also a positive to that too. You're working with a great group of people who you're coming together to really create something amazing. And hopefully at the end of the road, you see people loving your game, playing your game, buying your game. And that's a great feeling. And that's definitely something I miss when it comes to working directly on the game project. On something like when it comes to working on speech graphics, it's definitely not the case, because you're helping other studios complete their game. So you're never on, say, a full year cycle of doing something for a company. It's more like a small burst of projects that you're helping them with, anywhere from like a month to a few months worth of work. So you get that little more sense of, wow, we just finished something for this company in like a few months. So it's like a small piece of the pie, but at least you get that. You actually get that bit of it. So I think that's pretty cool. And like I said, I think one of the greatest things about working at speech graphics right now is literally seeing what everyone does at their studios, which is I feel like that's a great learning opportunity that you don't get anywhere else. I've spent time at multiple studios, and I'm pretty much dialed down to what their studio produces in terms of the engine, the tools, the content, and you are always wondering. There's always that bit of like, you look at your nearest competitor in terms of genre of game. You're like, okay, what are these guys doing? How are they doing it? Is there anything we can steal from what we saw in the trailer or the preview that's like, oh wow, they did awesome here. Can we replicate that on our side of things as well too? But we don't have that information, right? So we're just trying our best to kind of replicate or one up them more specifically. But here, speech graphics, I'm literally seeing how everyone's doing their work, and I think that's a pretty awesome thing.
Absolutely, yeah, that'd be fascinating. And that when you say you're sort of working across different projects. I mean, does that tend to be you focus on working with one game for a few months at a time, or can you be jumping between working on can you be working on Fortnite and Gears of War and Last of Us all at the same time, because it's the things are sort of coming in and out of phases? Or
yeah, that definitely does tend to happen when you're juggling multiple projects at the exact same time. And I actually promote that on my team, where I want people to do different projects so they can learn and understand how each company are doing their things differently from other companies. I don't want to get to the point where one person's like, oh, you're responsible for all the Gears of War stuff, or you're responsible for all this other project or whatnot, because I want everyone to share the information and have the chance to really work on all these diverse types of characters from all over the games industry.
Nobody gets too many zombies.
You can think of them out for a while for sure.
Share them out. There's a question from Katie in the Discord, who's saying they have a background in biomechanics and gait analysis. So the question is about whether the tech is around full bodies or just faces. So I mean, in terms of broadly, when you're saying you're looking for people with an understanding of human anatomy, is that just faces, or does anything else help?
It is just faces, because our tool and content that we create is specific just for facial animation. So it really is just about faces. That I mean, it's great to have an understanding of how the whole body works, because eventually it all comes together.
Yeah,
right?
still connected.
But definitely we prioritize like someone understanding how the face works.
Okay, great. The other question, I guess, is just around time zones. I mean, just you know, with you being based in the States, whichever coast it is, with a team in Edinburgh and a team in Hungary, you know, we're all getting used to working remotely, but you've obviously got a challenge of quite different time zones as well. How does that work within the team?
Within the team, it's not so bad because most of the team is on the UK time zone. Me and one other person's in the US time zone, but we are mostly managing a lot of the communication stuff, which happens to be a lot of companies on the West Coast. You know, a lot of game studios on the California, a lot of game studios in the Seattle area, Vancouver, BC area. So that's why it kind of works out too, because, you know, we got people in the UK time be able to communicate with companies that are more aligned in that time zone, and then I handle a lot of stuff that might be happening after the UK closes down for the night. I'm still working to continue communicating with our partners at all the studios on the US side of things. But it does take a little bit of a willingness to juggle time and have an understanding that certain things might not get done at a certain time because you are waiting for someone to come in the next morning, or you're waiting for me to come in a little bit later during the day. Definitely, sometimes that does mean like a little bit longer hours for me, being able to having to straddle both the UK time zone and the US time zone.
Perfect. Well, we appreciate you taking time out of the East Coast time zone today to join us. That's been great. You're staying on the Discord for a little while?
Yep, I am.
Awesome. So if you're not already on, get onto the Discord, ask Z whatever you'd like about speech graphics, and also remember all the other companies from today are still on there as well. If you're not on, discord.gamesjobs.live in a browser, that'll take you to the Games Jobs Live Discord, and get applying. Z, that's been brilliant. Thank you very much for joining us.
Appreciate the opportunity. Thanks, Colin.
Cheers, Z. Bye. Okay, that is all the companies we have got time for today. So we're going to leave you and let you get chatting and follow up on everything in the Discord. Just as a reminder of some of the resources, check out our website, which is www.gamesjobs.live. We've got an interactive map up there which plots all the jobs going in the UK's games industry. There are also details about our other upcoming recruitment events. In 2 weeks, we have a Games Jobs Live South event. So we have companies like Rebellion and Creative Assembly and others that are coming to that. So do sign up to that and join me again in 2 weeks. If you're looking to build out your portfolio or just want to have fun for a week, highly recommend the Games Jobs Live Jam, which starts off on March the 13th. For more details, get over to jam.gamesjobs.live. And if you're in Scotland next month, it's the 8th to the 10th of March, feel free to come along to some of the industry in-person events that I'm putting on. There's more details on them at gamestalks.live. So it just leaves for me to say thank you very much to all the companies that we've had taking part today, to Outplay, to Hyperluminal Games, to Tag Games, and to Speech Graphics. Really appreciate their time. Great to see everyone chatting away to them in the Discord. You should now have an email with all of the companies' career pages linked. So get applying to all of the companies. If you have liked this video, please do remember to like and subscribe on the YouTube, of course, and that'll just be an extra little reminder for future videos. Thank you very much for joining me, and I hope to see you next time. Thank you. Bye.